Welcome back to Vegas Live with Ninon. I'm Ninon, your host, and we're down here at the Pepper Mill. Absolutely amazing, all the lights and the colours and everything. It's still got that lovely, incredible old touch. I have a young lady with me, Leslee Rogers. When we think of the Salvation Army, we think of, say, Smith's or a food market or something, and especially Christmas time, you see them with the bow and the jingle and the poster and the whole bit. And I used to know a lot about this in Los Angeles. I had a girlfriend that was actually, I think she was working within the Salvation Army.
Right.
And you're with the Salvation Army. Now,
I am.
We never really get to know much about the Salvation Army, and they happen to be one of the most generous groups, or whatever you want to call them, foundations, whatever name you want to attach to it, that give. I mean, they are always there to give.
We are. I have the great privilege. People always say, "Oh, I love the Salvation Army. What is it you do?"
I know, that's exactly it.
My favorite line. But and then when they ask me specifically what I do,
What do you do?
I always say the uniforms are the face of the Salvation Army.
I know.
And I'm the mouth.
Okay.
That's my job.
Okay.
It is the
you
humblest.
don't ever wear the
It is
uniform.
I do not wear a uniform. I am a hired gun, as I like to say, and my late husband used to say the same thing. My late husband served as almost 19 years as the chaplain for homeless, chronically mentally ill, and people in recovery for the Salvation Army
in Vegas.
in Vegas. So we started in 1997, January, and
that was quite a job to put on.
it was an
But
amazing
I don't think
thing
you
that
had
he
as
did.
many homeless then as you have now.
Probably not as many then. There were also still more services for chronically mentally ill. We actually had programs on our campus for mentally ill, which we had to close about 8 years ago due to lack of funding, just like everything else mental health has no funding. But I volunteered as Mrs. Chaplain for, 16 years, and then I was, or longer than, well, no, we left in 15. But I got hired full-time to do public relations for them in 2011. 2011. So I love my job. I did have 3 years off for fairly good behavior. He got cancer. We moved back to Arizona. And then 2 years ago, the Salvation Army called me, 2 years ago right now, called me and asked me to please come back and do my job.
And do the PR work and
Yes.
everything else.
Yes.
So when you talk about the funding and you had to close certain things, which a lot of people had to because money was not around. And so, you have to cut corners. And Salvation Army, you don't ever think of them cutting corners.
The sad thing is that if we don't raise the money in the local community, we don't get to do the program. And here in Las Vegas, our budget is in the neighborhood of $11 million, which means we have to raise locally $11 million in order to accomplish everything we want to do every year. All the people we want to serve. We do 350,000 meals a year in our kitchen. We do about 1,000 meals a day out of our kitchen in our homeless campus.
Where is your campus?
The homeless campus is West Owens, 31 to 47. Basically, we use 35 West Owens as the main address.
But you have different ones all over town.
We have a facility with homeless services and a food pantry in Henderson and a church in Henderson. We have a church near Rancho and Charleston on Palomino Lane.
So you're able to get this donated to you so you don't have to spend money on renting a place or doing a place, or do you have to pay them?
We own the majority of the buildings we are in. Either they were donated years and years and years ago, or they were purchased years ago, and we currently own them for the Salvation Army.
So that was a good thing that happened.
It was a wonderful thing that happened. Yes. So we got some property. We actually have 5 acres on Owens, and there are so many programs on that campus. We have veteran services. We house probably 95 homeless veterans at any given time.
Okay.
We have a vocational training program with room for up to
Remember all this,
70.
listen to all this, so you don't
There'll be a quiz later.
No, it's not on me.
And then we have vocational training, everything from a culinary program that we do with CSN to truck driving school and getting certified to do forklift driving, HVAC.
So you actually teach people and help people
we
get into
connect
a job
them to programs that
around
will
town.
do that. Yes,
Now,
we do.
there's one thing that I have noticed, that there's a lot of you that don't wear the uniform. And I don't know if that has an effect on not getting as many donations, because people used to love to see this uniform. And
I will tell you, our star bell ringer this year is a member of the church and wore his uniform, including the hat,
yes,
every single day. And every single day at the Smith store at Aliante, that man raised anywhere from $600 to $800 a day, and a couple of days did $1,500.
Now, you know, I'm going to tell you why. It's because there's so many different people out there with little cans and things that they can just stick a Salvation Army thing on it.
Well,
whereas if you're
hopefully
wearing,
they can't, but they
well,
do.
they do. No, I'm honest, they do. You know, and I'm not only saying Vegas, all over the world they can do this. Do it with any charity, anything, to get money. So when you're actually wearing the uniform, it's very hard to go and, you know, make a uniform and pretend you're somebody that you're not.
That's right.
So I think wearing the uniforms, I think, is very, very important. I think it makes you stand out from others.
But we have 100 kettles just in Las Vegas. We don't have 100 officers. We have 4.
So you've got
6.
4 officers. So can whoever would be out, so they're donating their time. Is there any
Or
way
they're
they
being
can,
paid to do it
Oh,
because we don't have enough volunteers to cover that. So where we might make $305,000 over those 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks we had this year, was much, actually 3.5 weeks we had
it's
this year.
shorter this year
Because Thanksgiving was so late.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, but a portion of that money then goes to paying
To
those
pay
people
them.
and the taxes that go with that, and the unemployment and all the other things, workers' comp, and
So
all
the
those things
Salvation
you have
Army,
to do.
is it status quo? Is it up or down? Is it going up? Is it going down? What's going on? Or is it something kind of the past?
It's not something of the past. We're
That's a
in
good thing.
130 countries.
Okay,
We are 155 years old this May,
okay.
and we are serving in any zip code you can name in this country. We have services. We serve between 23 and 25 million people just in the U.S. every year.
That's amazing.
In Las Vegas, we provided, as I mentioned quickly, 350-some thousand meals last year through our kitchen on Owens. Every day between 1:30 and 2:30, we do what we call our community meal, which is for anyone on the street that's hungry.
So anybody who, even if they're old or young, it doesn't matter what
Doesn't
they are.
matter,
they can
or if
come
it's
in.
a
They don't have
family
to-
and they run out of money before they run out of month.
They don't,
and
yeah,
they need a
can
place
come, they
to
need
eat.
So they can eat. So I think what I'm listening out of this whole thing is in Vegas, and I've noticed this with a lot of charity places, a lot of things. You really won't starve in Vegas. There's some place that you can always get food, and even if it's not food stamps.
That's right. And we do take, for some of our meals, for our other meals, not the free meal, that's free,
Yes.
but breakfast, lunch, and dinner, people can come off the street if they have that EBT card, that food stamp card.
Oh,
they
food
can
stamp
actually
card, you
pay.
can-
They could actually pay $4 and get a hot meal for breakfast or lunch or dinner if they wanted to.
Okay.
But toward the end of the month, when those EBT cards are empty,
Yes.
they come at 1:30 and get that free meal. So we will see
Isn't that great?
a growth in that service from 1:30 to 2:30. At the beginning of the month, we might feed 175 or 200. By the end of the month, we're feeding 400 or 500 in that same 1 hour
That
period.
same 1 hour. You know, I can understand why they brought Leslee back into their community to be the PR. You are great at PR.
Thank you.
To get because you're telling the story.
Well, I'm a
You're
company
telling
girl.
The story.
I
Well,
love
she's
the
telling the story
Salvation
exactly how
Army.
it is.
Exactly.
But exactly what it is, how it is. But you seem to also have a bit of a sense of humour. You seem to be very happy with what you're doing. Do you ever look at all these homeless and all these people and say, well, what is going on with this world? Well, why do we have so many homeless? What's happening?
You can't help but do that.
You know,
And-
I think you would.
And the thing that's going on right now with the ordinance, I will not say yay or nay, for it, against
Well,
it.
let's not get into politics.
That's right. But the situation is simple. If someone on the street needs a place to stay, unfortunately right now there are probably, especially up in the corridor of Hope, as we call it, up in that Owens and Main Street and North Las Vegas Boulevard area, there are probably 1,350 or 1,400 beds on any given night that are available in shelters.
Could you have
There
that?
might be 6,000 people on the street.
Yes.
So no one is going to get arrested because the deal is, if you have a bed available and you're not willing to go, then
you
we
can
can
get
arrest
arrested.
you.
Yes.
But there are 4 times as many people on the street as there are beds.
Are there more people homeless in Vegas? Because Vegas is not big. It's small. It's getting big. I don't misunderstand.
Yes.
But it's quite small at the moment. Is there more? Seem to be more homeless in the area than there are most cities. Though I'm looking at Los Angeles as
No,
well.
Las Vegas. I mean, Los Angeles, Phoenix, any place that's in a warmer climate
That's what they
is going to have more homeless simply because they can, if they have to be on the street, they can survive on the street.
And then since we got on the subject of homeless, I always like to give a shout out to the 16 to 18,000 homeless children.
Teenagers and children, it just, now a lot of them
She's
don't
gonna
get
vouch.
counted. They don't
She's
get,
going to get vouched for this, so there could
Yeah.
be 20,000.
well, and they don't get counted because many of them are couch surfing. They have friends that will take them in
Yes.
until mom says, why is this slug sleeping on our couch again? And then they just move to someone else's home.
Yes.
Because besides Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, there's really nowhere for them to
They can't
sleep.
And what about
They're-
the youth? What about the homeless for youth? Is that big, small? Do they care?
They're not, oh, they care a lot. It's a wonderful organization, but they have limited
They've
number
only
of
limited,
units
of
that
units
they
and
can
beds
put
and
these
things
kids
and
in.
everything.
Yes, but it's a
So
wonderful
what
program.
would the trick be, and then we'll close out, what would the trick be to try to stop or try to help these children becoming homeless? Because it's to do with adults. It's nothing to do with the kids.
No, it's not the children.
Not the children.
I would
Believe
say
me.
90% of the time it is the family situation, and you're older, you can afford or you can go to work, so we're going to let you go figure it out for yourself, and I'm going to take care of the younger ones because that's all I can afford to do.
Yes.
And that happens a lot.
So the teenagers out there, because when we talk about kids, we talk about under 18.
Right. And we, unfortunately, on our campus, because we have homeless men and women who could have mental health issues or anything, we do not sleep anyone under 18.
I know.
For their safety.
I used to have a talk show for the younger generation, but because I'm on the internet now, I'm afraid to put it on there in case the kid says something wrong. I don't want to get sued. And so, but I had it for 16 years. I gave them a platform for 16 years and did very well.
So vital.
And I helped so many kids, but can't do it now.
No, it's very
But I
difficult.
might try to do it again. We'll see.
It's very difficult.
But Leslie, amazing woman, absolutely wonderful. Salvation Army. Don't forget, if you don't see the uniform, but you see the little can shaking and the bucket, because there's always a bell on it, isn't there?
There's a bell
Always a
and
bell.
a kettle, and now you can actually use your phone and your iPay and your Google Pay.
Oh,
That
that's
happened
something
this
new.
year.
That happened this year? How do they do that?
They literally, you
Salvation
just swipe
Army,
your phone
just-
and it goes to and a little thing will come up and say, do you want to give 5, 10, 25, or what I call the $10,000 square, because you can put any denomination in
You
there.
want in there.
So I need 10 grand, so
Yeah,
let's get
yes,
that.
get that in there.
But they can give 20.
Because there's a lot of wealthy people
or
out there,
whatever.
more wealthy people, more millionaires out there than there's ever been. So don't forget, your money sitting somewhere doesn't really do much good, and think of what good you could do by helping the Salvation Army. I mean, I'm quoting from myself. They are number one, 100% honest of where the money goes.
And 85% of every dollar given goes directly to programs and services.
There you are, from your mouth.
Yeah.
Leslie, amazing, isn't she? We'll
Thank
be
you.
right back.
Thank you,
Vegas
Ninon.
Live with Ninon, absolutely. We'll be right back with our next guest. If you enjoyed the last show we just did and all the other shows, don't forget to subscribe. Vegas Live with Ninon on YouTube. We've got plenty more coming up, and our guests are amazing. So don't forget to subscribe. We'll be right back. Vegas Live with Ninon.